John, you need to get it together. You don't have the right license plate on your car. Your hair's getting long.
Trying to do the stanky leg in victory lane. I mean,
Oh my
God.
God, wasn't that bad? I
What were
didn't
you
realize that
doing?
until I was like, what the hell was that?
John looked like those old NBA players who can't walk anymore with their legs bent in.
You're not
look,
wrong.
I was like, oh, poor John.
maybe he's practicing for the high heel race taking place later this year.
Ooh,
Could
I
be.
could
posing.
be. I could be.
Speeding up, no slowing down.
And welcome back to another episode of the Track Packer Podcast. I am not your host, Mason Eisenzimmer, but he is hosting us tonight. So, Mason, to get us going, say the thing.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Track Packers podcast for episode 13 of season 4. We hope everyone had a great weekend. I know we had a lot of fun this weekend. We get to recap the fun we had with myself, Mason, Mr. Jessup Pelkey, John Breckel, and Miss Becca Pelkey for another full lineup for this episode. Jessup, how are you doing this weekend, sir?
I'm doing good, Mason. All things considered, we're doing really good over here at the Pelkey household, at the Pelkey Palace.
Pelkey Palace. I need
Or
to, I
should
need
we
to,
go with the Pelkey Plaza for another hotel-esque name?
We did
huh?
get some renovations and upgrades this past weekend.
We did. There
I
is a
saw that.
water park at our house now.
We have an idea for a future intro for the Track Packers podcast.
Oh yeah.
Oh, gosh.
So,
Oh,
I can only imagine what this might be.
It's
John, how are you
me
doing this week?
flagging for flag.
I am doing great. It is a great day in Bismarck. Actually, the weather did turn out pretty nice in Bismarck today. But no, overall it was a fun weekend. Weather was a little iffy at times, but besides that, it was fun.
Good deal. Becca, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm just doing good.
Nice, short, simple, and sweet. I'm also doing pretty well, coming off a weird weekend, kind of dodging weather and all sorts of fun shenanigans. And so get to recap all the fun we got had this past weekend. And so want to thank all of you listeners and watchers of the Track Packers podcast. We greatly appreciate the support and want to give a few shout outs to some of our watchers and listeners, including Tucker Quinn, Brody Michelson, and Andy Cap, who checked out our last episode. So thank you guys for the support. As always, if you like our content, be sure to like our stuff, comment, share it, let us know wherever you're watching from. Love to know who's all watching our show. And thank you to our sponsors, including Hitch Harness, our title sponsor, Mr. Tyler Hall out of Fertile, Minnesota. Got a race in over at the Red River Valley Speedway for the Bison Battle, so a great race out there in West Fargo. John, talk to us about Hitch Harness and the services and products that they provide.
So, with your truck bed, if you have a hitch, do you want to protect that hitch? If you do, hitch harness is for you because they have a lot of accessories that can help you keep it in the truck bed. Other than that, race fans, they also have a bunch of other items on their website. You can check them out at hitchharness.com. And remember, don't be like a Jessup. Be sure to protect that hitch.
John, I agree. Sometimes when life starts to spiral out of control, you just gotta harness that hitch.
There you go. Tyler, I think you got a new slogan that you can add to your products. But as always, thank you for supporting us. Hitch Harness, hitchharness.com is where you can find out all those products online. Or if you have any questions, feel free to message Tyler directly and he will get you pointed in the right direction. Well, as you can see, the lineup has been vastly shifted because I got the mechanical black flag last week, and so Jessup's back on the pole, followed by John Breckle to his outside. Becca, who exited the race early, is in third, and myself bringing up the rear of the pack.
It's not
So,
exactly fair.
I think it's 100% fair. It's basically a disqualification on Mason for not having his equipment up to par to be on the podcasting track, such as John and I and Becca yourself.
It's true. I mean, Becca priorities. Just
Mhm.
just get your priorities straight.
I say the next time baby Riley wakes up, Jessup has to go take care of baby.
Jessup took care of baby all day.
I take care of baby most days.
That's beside the point. Today is podcasting day.
Yes. Yes, this is very true.
the,
Yes, he's got a point, Becca.
see, the
Mhm.
funny
Today
thing
was
is,
Jessup's.
Becca, you're not even last. You actually technically should be last.
I should be on the
Yeah.
pole.
Now, does Becca take a last for that, or does Mason take a last for a DQ?
I mean, let's be honest in this. So Becca thinks she should be on the pole, although she is doing a great job repping the Track Packers podcast with that beautiful beanie, which also race fans, if you heard me announce it all this weekend, which I hope you did a couple nights, I did promote it multiple times, unlike our, Patreon who did not do that. And then to go even farther with that, I mean, Becca, you do have a nice beanie. That's why you're third and not fourth, because you really should be fourth.
In
Someone
some
has to take
cases,
care of the wee baby Riley, who is moving, by the way. She
It
is.
looks like Becca's going to be making a run. Becca, what are you wearing today?
why don't we discuss that
Mason has
here?
not started. Mason, would you like to officially start the podcast?
I would love to. Let's officially start episode 13 with the waving of the green flag and get who or what we are repping. I will let Becca go first in case she does have to check on the moving Riley.
So tonight I am repping a racing legend, the great Johnny C. This is one of his older shirts from, I don't know, John probably knows this better than I do. Probably, what, 20 years ago?
No, that's probably right around the 2009-10 era.
15 years
2000.
ago?
To be fair, hasn't he kept that similar scheme for several years as well?
This is true, Mason, although the yellow and red came back this year.
Yes.
'Cause
See,
it's been away for a couple of years.
So throwback?
see,
Yes.
Vintage?
it's not really a
Vintage?
throwback because
Retro.
if you think
Retro?
about it, it's a wily veteran move. If you're trying
Mm.
to clean out your office or your shop and you still have boxes of shirts from about 10, 15 years ago, and you just bring that car body back, and it's brand new shirts again. It's back in style.
Well, I didn't exactly know what to wear tonight, but Johnny C had a fabulous run last Saturday night over at the Jamestown Speedway for the sixth annual Don Gumke Racers Memorial, where he battled for the win. And part of me was pulling for Johnny because I thought it would have been really cool to see John win the race that was in honor of his late buddy Don Gumke. So he finished runner-up to Quentin Kinsley, who picked up the big win over at the Jamestown Speedway. So yeah, good weekend of racing for Johnny, and it was a good performance, and it was a fun race to watch because it really came down to those final laps. And yeah, tonight I'm repping Johnny C.
And he's looked really good this year.
Yeah.
He has.
Excellent shirt to rep, Becca. We'll move back up to the pole sitter, Jessup, with who or what are you repping?
I just want everyone to know I'm back where I rightfully belong.
It's so funny because I can actually visually see his ego every time I say pole sitter Jessup.
It's
Say that again.
it's the reflection in the background with the shadow. It gets bigger.
Yeah.
It is a tough ego to haul around with you, but someone's got to do it. Anyways, on to other things. I am rocking a Scott Hansen shirt. It's kind of a cool little design. It's got a skull. It's got his car. It's neat color situation of gray, black, white, almost like a maroon with a bright neon green.
And I don't remember what year that was. I want to say late 2000s or early 2010s for that shirt.
I agree.
I don't think he's got photos on their Facebook page of that scheme, but I do remember seeing Cody Packy develop some hero cards for that car.
I wonder if the Western uh, Wanderer
Wonder.
will have it. John?
Maybe.
Yeah. JR might have it on his site. I mean, Scott did run a lot of the Wasota 100 shows down in Huron, so I think you're onto something, Mason.
Yeah. So if someone gets time during the show, maybe they can look that up and we can figure out exactly what year that shirt's from. But cool shirt, Jessup.
Yeah, back up.
That's more on John's because that's John's cheater site, not Becca's.
I only visit that at least once to twice a day.
See, there you go. John, who are you repping?
Okay, well, I went retro like Becca too, and just like Jessup. So I got a really nice shirt last year that I've been kind of saving until this time frame because you know what's open, Mason. The Dakota Classic Modified Tour registration is open for the 36th annual Dakota Classic Modified Tour for stock cars and modifieds. So I went back in the archives a little bit, and I am repping a 20th annual Dakota Classic Modified Tour shirt. So, okay, guys, this is the shirt from 2009. Who were your champions?
Mm,
People.
I remember 2007.
2009.
Well, let's start with this.
Who
Was either a
were
North
your...
Dakotan?
One was a North Dakotan, and one was a neighboring state to a North Dakotan.
Not a
Hank Berry.
country.
Hank Berry was your mod champion. That was one of his championships, was that year.
Oh,
Flory.
No,
Was it a Minot guy?
it was.
Dorn Boys.
Kelly Henderson?
No, no,
Do they still race?
no.
Well, then I'm out.
Oh,
Do I know this person?
Nathan Burke.
Yes.
I would not have known that.
Nathan Burke was your champion in the 97 stock car.
Very fast stock car.
Yes, he had a lot of really good runs on the tour.
Yeah, I think between him and Marlin, they are either tied or one of them has the most championships at Nodak Speedway in their history. So
Oh.
that tells you how dominant.
Well, that's a
Nathan Burke
bold statement there, Mason. Between John and I, one of us is on the pole, or maybe both of us are on the front row. But one of them may have one more lead position.
It's amazing,
Why
though.
are
He's
we
making
nitpicking?
those
Why?
bold,
I'm
he's
not
making
throwing
the
any
bold
caution. I'm
predictions.
just having fun.
I'm covering all my bases.
Nathan is just not Nathan. Sorry,
Who's Mason?
Mason.
You know what? Just because of that.
Nathan.
Who's
Don't throw a
Wow.
caution on her. That's
John?
I think she deserves a caution for this one because
No.
Nathan and Mason are two different names.
I get every time I hear Nathan, I almost respond because it sounds so similar.
Mason is just laying some fun facts out on the show, and you guys are ruining it. So
I just want
Yeah,
people to
fun
know
wreckers.
that I just want people to
Ooh.
understand that the green flag has been dropped and there is no Nathan or Mathan on this program.
I do agree.
I just came up with a really fun idea for a racetrack. They should get their wreckers and put something like fun on the side of them so they can be the fun wreckers.
Mm.
That's fascinating,
That is
Mason.
pretty good, actually.
Yeah,
Just
and
fascinating.
careful.
This is like an idea up your alley.
Be careful, Mason. Someone might steal your idea like Jonas did in Twister.
Well, anyways, nice shirt, John, and nice little flashback in time there. I'll finish off this segment. I actually have a new koozie this week. I actually got this a couple weeks ago. This is the 2F of Jeffrey Fry out of Ogilvie, Minnesota. Gave this to me in the pits at Alexandria a couple weeks back, so new koozie to add to the collection. Repping the B1, Brody Carlsruhe, one of our sponsors for the hat once again, and I'm repping another stock car guy, except this is his Wasota Street stock sweatshirt, Daniel Aberling, the 33 out of Findlay, North Dakota. This is the scheme of his last year in the Minnesota Street Stock Division before he transitioned to IMCA stock cars, but he picked up his first IMCA stock car win this past weekend, so wanted to give him a little special shout out with the sweatshirt this week. And so that is who or what we are repping for episode 13, and we will move right into the hot sauce, hot memory rewind and give a shout out to Hot Sauce, Isaac Sandro in the 12S IMCA Modified. I believe he got over to the Jamestown Speedway, had a okay run. I'm sure he was looking to do a little bit better, but still had a good time over at the Jamestown Speedway for the Don Gumpke Racers Memorial. Be sure to follow his Facebook page, 12S Racing on Facebook, and stop on down the pits if you see him. Always one of the nicest guys to talk to, and they always have some really good food and desserts in this pit area. So thank you, Isaac, for the support on the podcast. So John and I are kind of running this segment this week. So John, I'll have you go first while I set my stuff up a little bit.
Okay, that sounds good. Here, let me share my screen.
Let me give you permission first, because I may not have given you
Oh yeah,
permission.
it says
now you
host
can.
has disabled it. Just I
Okay.
think that requires a caution on him.
Nope,
So
you're good.
I'm not going to touch this one.
Nope, you're good now.
That is a
Okay.
con.
first one,
That's a hobby stock.
it's actually not a hobby stock.
Is
This
that
is a Minnesota Street stock.
Ooh, I have a guess. But Becca, did
Go
you want
ahead,
to guess
Mason.
first? This is Ken Sandberg.
It is. It is Ken Sandberg's street stock.
It-
Oh, all right.
I was thinking
Nice.
Ken Zenberg, actually.
Nice.
From
Looks
back
cool.
in the day. Okay,
You
second
go,
one.
Becca. There's no penalty for guessing incorrectly, unless it's super, super egregious, I guess. And
Well,
I have
no,
Mater.
Ken Zenberg was the first thing that came to my mind, but I don't know, just
I
it's
have
before
four.
my
Number
time.
55. That is who it is. The number
It
55.
was
Chad
this was
Mater.
before my time, so I was a little. So the first person that comes to my mind is Rush John.
That would be correct as well.
Wow.
That was going to be my guess,
Look
too.
at Becca flexing.
I mean, look at you guys go. Good
Wow.
job.
I'm so turned on by
I
you.
would be 2 for 2
Totally
at this
bottle.
point.
Okay, next one.
Hmm.
Ooh, Wishick Livestock Market. Okay.
Back home, I would say that would be Scott Lawrence.
I'm
I don't
going to
think
give
he
you
was
a hint.
sponsored by Wishick.
This driver is still racing today. Different class, but still racing today.
Same number?
Yes.
Definitely not Jared Klein, because I'm not sure he was even born when this photo was taken.
He still races?
This is
Same
a
number.
1996 photo.
96, same photo, same number. Who has the number 77?
What's their home track, John?
Jamestown.
They must not race weekly.
Judging by John's face, that's a yes.
Maybe they do. I don't know. I don't have any
Who's
guesses.
77?
Yeah, I can't think of
Drawing a
77
blank
besides
here.
Jared
He
Klein and
races
Jamestown.
weekly and we can't think of his name?
Hold on.
This is why I think it's hilarious.
Keep
Oh,
talking.
gosh.
Jared Klein is the only 77 I know.
No, there's got to be another one. It's got to be an obvious one, is this annoying
Would
part.
you guys like me to help you?
Just tell us.
No.
Okay.
I'm cheating like John. No.
Okay, I'm going to tell you before Justin gets to this
Stop
point.
it, John.
He's
Don't do
looking
it.
at the point standings.
Yep. This driver is Joe Didi.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Dang it. I was so close. I was just pulling it up.
I didn't realize he raced back in the 90s, I guess.
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
Was Soda
Yeah,
Superstock back in 1996. And see Jessup,
Okay.
77.
But according to Becca, they do not race anymore.
No, they do. So
Mm.
I have one more hot sauce hot memory rewind. Okay.
Joe Didi.
That would be a no.
Oh, is that Josh Johnson in the background with the
Why
84?
don't you enlarge the photo, John?
I think it's
Okay. I
Corey
definitely will,
Seekerson.
because this could help you.
Corey Seekerson?
Yes!
Is that Josh Johnson in the background?
No,
Who's the 84?
it's a late model driver.
Is this in this
Josh
isn't in
Johnson?
Jamestown. Is this like in Greenbush or something?
No,
Is this the overflow in Jamestown?
no, this is in
I,
Aberdeen.
Mm.
Oh, I wonder what direction this is looking.
I don't know.
Huh.
But 1996 was when that photo was also taken.
your turn, Mason. Very nice submissions to the hot sauce, John.
Alrighty. The
In
first
different
one,
classes.
Mhm.
the first one will be pretty easy.
Joe Didi.
Mason,
Mason.
you have to share your screen.
Oh,
That's
Aaron
Aaron
Byron.
Beyer.
Yeah, I got it. I did
There
it.
you go.
I
That's
did
the
a thing.
first one.
I got one.
Matt Dosh.
That is also correct.
We're number one. That's why we're
Th-
the front row, people.
This last one's gonna be tricky, but I feel like John might get this.
Darren Smith.
Good job.
I didn't know who that is.
That's
So.
I no. Mm.
Fargo, North Dakota driver.
So I was
Minnesota
on
Midwest
track.
Modifieds.
I was on Track Talk with Jason Burke last week, and Darren Smith was also a guest on that show. He now does drifting.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
really interesting, because he hasn't raced for, boy, probably a good 10 years.
You can do
Yeah,
that with the police following you too.
you can. Yes, not
You can
recommended,
also
but
do you can also do that in a Midwest Modified.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you can also do that. Yeah,
But
very
just
true. So there you have it. That is the hot sauce hot memory rewind for this week. And so we move right into the track packer report, which for once I don't have to start this.
I get to start it.
Where did
So
you go to start off the week, John?
Mason was very disappointed, by the way, guys, because if Nodak would have raced yesterday, yeah, Mason and I would have been neck and neck with hitting the racetracks this week.
Actually, I think John, wouldn't you have been to a racetrack more than I was?
Well, no, because we were both going to be at 4,
Oh, yeah.
but I would have seen complete shows at all my racetracks.
Valid point.
Yes. So okay, so I started Tuesday night off in McLean County in Underwood as part of the start of the Tougher Than Dirt Tour, as well as the start of the Legendary Tour. So it was a pretty fun night overall in Underwood on Tuesday. Track was in really good shape, a lot of really good battles up front for the lead. And overall, total wise for car count, they had 94 cars in attendance. So they ran the trophy class first. Trophy class had 4 cars. They had some enduros since they did an enduro on Saturday this past weekend. And it was Sierra Davenport though in her IMCA stock car, got some extra laps, and she picked up the win on that trophy class event. Then they moved into their junior slingshots. Slingshots ran as part of the whole entire Tougher Than Dirt tour. They had 12 of them, and it was the youngster that's been on a tear lately. He's just been putting the spider web in front of everybody else. That is Landon Hallgren. So Hallgren picked up the win in the 22H machine. So congratulations, Landon. He's picked up multiple feature wins here so far in the 2025 season. Then they moved into your legends. So then it was your legendary tour, a main feature event, and that was a really hard fought race up front. You had drivers like Gage Madler, Preston Martin, Ty Olson, Donovan Weist, Tanner Jones, Noah Madler, and Casey Martin up there battling for the lead. They had 42 legends, and Gage Madler picked up the win. That was actually his third win in a row, as he had won Mandan on the Friday before, Jamestown the Saturday before, and then McLean to start the tour. So Gage Mather picked up the win in your legends. In your INCA Sport Mods, they had 19 drivers total to start the tour for the Tougher Than Dirt. And the guy that started on the pole after the beanbag in the cornhole tournament, well, that was Gabe Deshaw.
Yeah.
And Gabe Deshaw did Gabe Deshaw things on his 21st birthday. It was his 21st birthday on that night too. So Gabe picked up the win in the 21 machine. It was a really good battle for second, though. So Cole Hanshu kind of was back in about fifth, but he was really working the high line. And he was able to get around Robbie Roselli, and Stan Tomlinson was up there. Taylor Stenvold was up there. And so Cole Hanshu picked up second place in the 82 machine. Then we moved into your IMCA hobby stocks, and they really did put on a show. The battle up front was side by side for many, many laps. And then towards the end of that race, it was a three-wide battle for the lead. So it was a really good race in your hobby stocks. And it was the youngster, Cash Saxon, out of the Saskatchewan area, picking up the win in the 99 machine. So Cash won. Caden Tusher was in second. Diesel Reynard was in third. So it was a Canadian top three in your IMC hobby stocks. They ended up with 17 cars in your hobby stock division for the night. And yeah, we got done about 10:30 and it was a great night of racing.
Slightly missed opportunity for not saying that Cash took home the cash.
This is true, Mason. But see, he might be too young. It probably goes to his parents.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how old Cash is, so maybe. Great recap, John. Glad you got to see the first night of the Tougher Than Dirt and the Legendary Tour as well. So then we move further into the weekend. Racing for me kicked off Thursday at the Norman County Raceway, where it was meet and greet night. Started off a little bit uncertain because we had some weather roll in. I actually drove through rain the entire way to Ada, all the way up till 2 miles south of the racetrack, and got a little shower for about 5 minutes, but track crew did a great job. Worked it back in. We started about 7:30 and got the entire program in. And so, getting on to the results, Sport Mods kicked things off with Andy Wagner, a local out of Ada, taking the win. Very popular win as he has a lot of family and friends that show up to the races each and every single week. The Legend class, they had 12 in attendance, a little lower car count than normal due to the Legendary Tour taking place at Cheyenne, which unfortunately ended up getting rained out later on in the evening, but had a lot of younger drivers, younger experienced drivers going for their first feature win. And coming out on top in a great battle with Alex Clark was a 412 of Brandon Bunnis in the Goku car. So very fun race to watch. Congratulations to Brandon Bunnis for getting his first career feature win. In your IMCA Race Saver Sprints, it was Layla Eisenschenk taking the win. She's been on a tear in that division as well. So another win for the number 15 car. IMCA Hobby Stocks went to a familiar face, the B2 of Brody Eckert, getting the feature win there. Your Midwest Modifieds went to Corey Stork in front of Ryan Scow as those drivers were railing the high side around the speedway. And then to finish off the night with one of the races of the year I've seen so far was in the IMCA stock cars. And I mentioned this driver earlier in Who or What Are We Repping, but Daniel Aberly came out in a very hard fought battle with Aaron Olson. The two exchanged a slide job and crossover with 2 to go. And Daniel went on to get his first career IMCA stock car feature win. He's been really close the last several races, and so great to see him get that first win at Norman County. And so that was Thursday night in Ada. So then we move to Friday's action and over to the Dakota Speedway. Becca or Jessup, how did the night go from your eyes on Friday?
Becca.
Are you deferring to me? All
Sure.
right. All right. It was a good night of racing. We had 111 cars in the pits. Dakota Speedway also hosted night number 4 of the Legendary Tour, as well as the first night of the Mary Vetter Hobby Stock Challenge. So increased payouts for both car classes, as well as higher than normal car counts in those divisions as well. So healthy field of cars in all of our racing divisions. But real quick, your winners were.
It was Josh Warwick in your hobby stock division for night one of the
I
Mary
was
Vetter
getting
Challenge.
to it. Jesus.
I would like to point out that the winner of the race was the winner of the hobby stocks.
Yes, so Josh Rorick held off Derek Appert for the victory in the hobby stock feature. Landon Holgren took home his third victory at Dakota Speedway this year in the slingshot division. legend feature for the Legendary Tour came down to Preston Martin and Tanner Jones, and they put on a phenomenal race for the win because it was a two-car breakaway between those two drivers, but they raced so incredibly close and tight and clean for the win, and it was fun to watch them battle for the win. But ultimately, it was Tanner Jones who took advantage of Preston Martin. He had a small little bobble with his car with like a handful of laps to go, and Tanner Jones just kind of ran away with the win at the end. But so Tanner Jones was your victor in the Legend division. In the stock cars, Matt Dosh had to hold off a charging Jeff Hellman at the end of the race. Hellman threw a Hail Mary for the win, but Dosh held on for the victory. And then in your IMCA modifieds, Sean Strand went back to back at the Dakota Speedway to pick up his second victory of the season in the IMCA modified. So good data racing. The track was very racy for all five racing divisions, but overall, a great night of racing at Dakota Speedway.
Yeah, I got to watch the replays on Dakota Speedway TV again, and I think my favorite race was the Legends. Like you said, they were racing hard for that one. That was really fun to watch.
They were all over the track too. High side and bottom.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Mason?
Yes.
Anyway,
So that
Mason,
was the
how was your night at the racetrack on Friday
How
night?
was night one of the street stock tour for the weekend?
You know what? It was a good night. There was quite a few cars in attendance as it was the prelude to the Dick Johannick King of Dirt. And so we had six classes minus the late models who were doing NLRA racing up in Grand Forks, but they would join on Saturday night. I'll kind of lump them both together because unfortunately the Saturday program got rained out halfway through. And so didn't quite get that full race in. But Friday night was an action-packed night. A lot of cars in attendance, 127 cars total in the six divisions. So a lot of heavy hitters on hand, and things kicked off in the Wissota Superstocks with William Lund holding off a hard charging Shane Sabraski. Those drivers were wide open the entire time. It was fun to see Shane kind of poke his nose, but William Lund is always really good at I-94 and held him off for the feature win there. The Gen X late models. I joke with Jessup and all the time on like, hey, who do you want to pick in the Gen X late models, Ben Walden or the field? Well, Ben Walden won. It was a 25 lap race, caution free, and he lapped up to the top 10.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was definitely the guy to beat. So congratulations to Ben Walden in the 50 for getting the win there. Up third on the program was the Dirt Race Central Street Stock Tour. Had 28 cars in attendance and heavy battle at the front to start things off. We had Justin Vogel along with Eric Riley, Kyle Dykoff in the mix, Andrew Hansen coming on late, but he's gone 2 for 2 before this, and now he's 3 for 3 on the 2025 tour. Kyle Dykoff gets the win in front of Eric Riley and Andrew Hansen, your top three finishers. Your Midwest Modifieds, there's a lot of heavy hitters in that one. Your front row consists of Lucas Rodin and Matt Scow. That is almost super unfair. Unfortunately for Matt, he had some trouble. I believe he had some issue with his distributor, so he unfortunately only made a few laps. But Lucas Rodin was the leader, but Landon Rant in the 11R from Siren, Wisconsin, made a really great pass on Rodin about halfway through, and he goes on to get his first I-94 Speedway win. Congratulations to 11R of Landon Rant. Your Wissota Modifieds, good field of Modifieds, 29 in attendance, and there was some action on this. You had the Cowboy Travis Sauer railing the high side, and behind them was a fierce battle between Brady Gertis and Don Eichens, which there was a little bit of contact as they were arguing for space on the low line of the track. And several cautions throughout this event gave Brady a lot of chances to pull a slider on Travis, and he got one to stick with just a handful of laps to go, and he held off the hard-charging Don Eichens for the win there on the prelude to the Dick Johannick night. So congratulations to the 2X of Brady Gertis. And then to finish out the night, in your Hornet division, where they had 13 in attendance, Brady Albertson set sail on the field and cruised on to the feature win. And so that was your action from Friday night at I-94 Speedway. So Saturday, got all the heat races in and the B main for the NRLA late models. They had 35 in attendance, so a really good field of late models. So unfortunately, did not get the feature races in. They're looking at a later date to try to rerun the features, and so stay tuned for that if they're able to do that. So then we move to Saturday over the Jamestown Speedway, where the Legendary Tour, Merryweather Challenge, and the 6th annual Don Gumke Racers Memorial took center stage. Gentlemen,
Okay.
how did that go?
Well, I'm going to turn it over to Jessup and Becca first. You guys give kind of your, actually, we could all give our opinions since we all watched portions of it and kind of go from there.
Wow, where do we want to start? How about that drive-in, watching the storms come up on Jamestown, and I get to the track and there's nothing. I mean, I guess it hailed a little bit, but outside of
To the
that,
east, yeah.
no rain. But then if you go downtown Jamestown, it was like a monsoon.
Mhm.
So they were very, 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 very fortunate, which it hurt car counts a little bit because I think some people went to, funny enough, I-94, which then, since Mason was there, the monsoon Mason brought the rain. Um, that happened. They didn't get to complete a whole night because they rained out. Anyways, we
I
did
will
not
note
rain
that
out.
both Kayla and I were there Friday night, so I think that canceled everything out, and I was the only one there Saturday out of the two of
What do you
us.
mean? Where was Kayla Saturday? Hear me
Fargo.
out.
She's
So,
at a
okay,
baby
now
shower.
hear me out, John. The rain started
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
east of
Yes.
Jamestown. It really started to
Yes.
build up. And that could
Yes.
be the influence of Hurricane
Kayla.
Kayla. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it
And
kind of did a wraparound on Sunday too, so it definitely
mhm,
was Hurricane
mhm.
Kayla using her
And
forces.
then, of course, you had Monsoon Mason on site, so it
Mhm.
was a given that somebody was going to have to take a rain out, and it wasn't looking good for
Absolutely.
anybody in the Fergus Falls area. So, some of you drivers, you chose poorly. I mean, I don't blame you. It looked really bad in Jamestown, but knowing that Hurricane Kayla and Monsoon Mason were off on the east side, you should have known better. So that was
Mhm.
the drive in. Anyways, the
The wind
racing
pushed
itself,
Jessup all the way there.
yeah, the wind did blow
It
me off
did.
there. But the racing itself, it worked out to be just about a perfect night of racing. Just about all the features uh, could be, not all, but a good number of the features could be considered race of the year worthy. And it just was a fun night to see everything transpire and work out and play out how it did. So that I'll let Beck do some talking
Mm.
here, and I'll throw some tidbits in here and there.
So I didn't get to go to Jamestown. I stayed home with baby Riley. But I did watch most, not all, of the features on Dakota Speedway TV, who was there broadcasting the Don Gumke Racers Memorial.
Good
I thought
feedback, Becca. Now to the people who are there. So, John, let's talk. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm sorry.
I thought the features were really good. There was a little bit of character in the track, but that just really made it just more entertaining to watch because you're watching the cars maneuver either through or around the character, it really just made for really exciting racing on the track. And again, as Jessup alluded to, all of the features were race of the year worthy finishes, and it was just really fun to watch. So.
Now, I would say that I would agree there was a lot of character within the turns. However, there was 2.5 lanes that you could choose from, and with the upper lane having a lane and a half to work with. And there were some who were bold and brave enough to try to run through the ruts in the middle. And some of the time it really helped some individuals, and then it really backfired and bit quite a few drivers
Mm.
as well. So there was the high risk, high reward factor going in. If you wanted to throw a major slide job from the top or going from top to the bottom. So it was fun to watch. A lot of,
Mm.
I would say, high limit chess was being played out throughout the night.
Like Jessup and Becca alluded to, racing action throughout the night. Honestly, they didn't do a ton of track prep. It was more just watering. for kind of, for the future action stuff, but and trying to smooth out a little bit of the ruts, but definitely 3 and 4 had the ruts that were causing people problems compared to even like 1 and 2. But but no, like you guys had mentioned, feature racing was awesome overall throughout the whole entire night. The slingshot started with Caden Davenport going back-to-back feature wins within Jamestown, and Easton Olson picking up second place for the Coogan. They had 9 junior slingshots in attendance on Saturday night. In your bomber division, which was night 2 of the Mary Vetter Challenge, it had started with Travis Ettinger up front with Cade Getska in a brand new chassis for him. He just got it done. His first night out on the car, he picked up a heat win, picked up a top 5 in the future. But that race was really entertaining to watch because Ettinger and Eric Bush and Carly Horner and Riker Vetter, as well as the 18 machine of Brody Michelson, they were putting on a show up front. They were side by side by side by side. And it was like 2 to 3 rows deep, and nobody was touching each other. And Eric Bush got a little bit loose coming out of turn 2 with a couple laps left, allowed Brody to open up kind of to get into the mix. But unfortunately, with like 4 laps to go under caution, Brody started 11th, got up to second, and his car died. It just kind of stalled out on the high side of turns 1 and 2, and he had to be pushed into the pits. So just some bad luck because he looked really fast on Saturday. But it was Travis Ettinger holding off Eric Bush for the win over Riker Vetter in third, as well as the just got a point here, as well as the 21K of Carly Horner and the 4 of Kate Getskow. That's how the hobby stock feature race finished up for the Mary Vetter Challenge with your bombers and hobby stocks, depending on which track you're at with the Dakota Speedway, Jamestown Speedway, or Tri-County Speedway. And then we move into your Wissota Midwest Modifieds, which was a really good race up front between Aaron Beyer and Jaron Winstead to begin with. Those two drivers went side by side for several laps. And then the driver that was on the move, though, was the 59 machine of Kyle Anderson, who started ninth on the field and was slowly working his way up front. And towards the end of it, it was a battle between him and Aaron Beyer as Jaron Winstead got really tight on a restart in turns 1 and 2 and actually drove it off the high side of turn 2 and fell back to about 10th and drove his way back up to third at the finish line. However, it was Kyle Anderson and Aaron Beyer going at it. Both drivers have not won in a while in Jamestown, whatever division they're racing in. And Aaron had the race through the middle part of the track. He was using the middle part of the track to perfection almost. Kyle was a little bit lower than him. Kyle kind of diamonded it off from the middle down to the bottom on a turn 2. He had a really good run in the last lap and passed Aaron going into turns 3 and won his first career feature win in the Wissota Midwest Modifieds over Aaron Beyer. Beyer was a close second. Then it was Wimstead in third. A really good run for Kylan Vargason. He was in fourth. And then in fifth place, it was Phil Chrislip. So really good race over there in your Midwest Modifieds. Some carnage as well. That was one of the races that that you could definitely tell where some of the ruts definitely bit people in that race, and just bad luck in general bit people in that race. Legends were next for the Legendary Tour. And during that race, it was a battle up front between Donovan Weist was up there. You had Tanner Jones who started on the pole up there. You also had the Madler brothers up there. And then you had Preston Martin up there. And Preston was the first driver kind of in that feature event to go to the high side and was kind of working it in kind of by himself. But he was keeping his ground. But then he moved down to kind of the middle, and that's where he really started making up ground. So Preston passed for fourth quickly, then passed for third quickly, got up to second pretty quick on Donovan, and Noah was right there too, and then got right to the back bumper of Tanner Jones with about a heat race left, about 8 laps left, and made a crossover move as Tanner went up the track in turns 3 and 4, got to the bottom of them. Those two made contact. Tanner ended up in the wall, and he got hit by Ty Olson really hard on the front straightaway. And kind of destroyed both of those cars. And unfortunately, Preston was called for the caution and went to the back. That opened the door for Noah Madler and Donovan Weist, as well as Gage Madler up there. Andrew Bargman was in the top 5 during that period of time as well. And it was a race between Donovan and Noah. Noah was down low, and Donovan actually moved to the middle, kind of where Preston was at. Donovan also brought his backup car out, which was kind of interesting to see, his car from last year, and kind of hit the same speed that Preston had during that line and passed Noah with just a few laps left and picked up his first Jamestown win in quite some time. So congratulations to Donovan picking up the win on the tour. Noah was second. Gage Madler was in third. Ryan Erdahl was in fourth. Tough luck award goes to obviously Preston Martin had the tough luck award. He got back up to fifth on that one too, but also Cody Mackhart. I felt really bad for Cody on Saturday. Cody started 16th because the Legends ran the first, I think it was 12 laps green, and Cody had marched his way up to fourth before that happened, and then marched his way up to third, was battling really hard for second with Noah, and broke a tire rod with only a few laps left and went straight up the track coming out of turn number two and tried to run with it, but yeah, he was pretty much done, and he was the reason for the white flag and then the caution that came out right after it. Because of the fact of the matter that Cody had stopped going into turns three and couldn't steer the car anymore. So he was his night was over. But yeah, Cody's had just some bad luck to start his season. He looked really strong, but just had some bad luck. Street stocks, it was a battle between Dustin Erickson and Jody Michelson up front, kind of like what they had done last year during the points championship. And Dustin got tight through turns one and two, and that opened the door for third place starting Cole Gresseth, who has been on a tear. So Cole has won the first two features in Jamestown. He got to the middle part of the track. He opened up about a 2 second advantage. And then behind them, it was a battle between Casey Eustatis. It was Jody Michelson, and it was also Dustin Erickson. And it was the 2U machine of Casey Eustatis who found the high side in the streets and took that 2 second advantage and put it down to 41 one thousandths of a second at the line. So Casey caught Cole with a few laps left. And on the last lap, Cole got a little tight in one and two. Casey flew to the high side. They were side by side out of two. They were side by side all the way through three and four, and Cole beat him by just a nose at the line for his third win in a row. So it was a really good race in your streets. Your street stock feature was really good. Jordan Johnson got fifth, and John Carell, the Carell family, donated extra money for the fifth place finishing spot in memory of their son, John Carell Jr. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Jordan Johnson actually got a higher prize fund finishing fifth than the winner did with Cole Gressett that night. So congratulations to that. And then their modifieds. Becca, you watched the majority of the mod race. I'm going to send it over to you. What was your opinions on the mods?
It was a very racy race from the get-go. When the green flag waved, the high line seemed to be the fastest line on the track. The low line was also just as equally fast, but the high line was just a little bit better for everyone else. Right from the get-go, Marcus Tomlinson and Jordan Sowers were swapping sliders, battling for the lead before a caution came out. Then on the restart, Quentin Kinsley, also on the high side, passed Marcus Tomlinson for the lead. Caution came out. And then on the restart, Johnny C, he really made the low line work. And so it's really fun to watch Quentin Kinsley ripping the lip, and then Johnny C just hugging that inside line. And they were battling side by side for the win. Lap traffic became a factor near the end of the race, and it really allowed Johnny C to get by Quentin Kinsley. And had it not been for a late race caution, I think that race could have gone to Johnny C. Obviously, caution changed everything because on the restart, Quentin Kinsley found just that speed again on the high side and then went on to take the victory. So, but either way, it was still a fun race to watch until the very, very end. And congratulations to Quentin Kinsley, who got the victory over Jenny C.
And that was Quinton's first win in Jamestown. So kind of a little bit of a, kind of a theme this year. There's a lot of first time winners so far in the mods coming over from the Jamestown side with Travis Hagan on opening night. John Norder, defending champion, was night two, and night three now was Quinton. And Quinton won, and like Becca said, Johnny Corral was right next to the wall on the bottom. Marcus Tomlinson was next to the wall on the bottom as well. Marcus really likes running the bottom part of the track if he can. And Dave Shipley was on the high side, and Dave got Marcus at the line by just a nose. And then behind them it was John Nord on the high side in sixth and Jordan Sowers on the bottom in fifth. So with Andy Cap right there in seventh, and he was your hard charger. So yeah, really good race. Really, really good race in your IMCA modifieds.
So it sounds like a great night in Jamestown. For those wondering, I did look to see what my arrival time was once I left Fergus after they rained out. I wouldn't have made it. I would have maybe made it for the modifieds. There was no chance of me making it.
See, we were wondering about that with Mason because remember Becca a couple years back, right, when Jessup and Mason, this was the first time Jessup got to experience Monsoon Mason, when they went over to Fergus for the World of Outlaw late model show. And
I've
it
yet to go
was,
back. I my experience. Well, I take that back. I went
you
back
were there.
one. You know
Yep.
what? Let's talk that. Uh,
Well, just
my
wait.
first
We gotta go.
experience. My
Just
first
wait, Jessup, though.
experience was
Your
that
first
last
ex
year.
Yes, it was last year's opener. But wait, you have to talk about your experience with Mason on the way to the track the first time for the World of Outlaws.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago, wasn't it, Mason?
Yeah, it
No, it
was
was
like
more
two or
than
three
that.
years ago. Three
Okay,
years ago,
so
I
my
think.
first experience of I-94, I was all excited. It was King of the Wings up in Grand Forks, and it was the World of Outlaw late models down at I-94. And, I could have went and watched IRA versus NOSA, which I'm a very big late sprint car fan. I'm also a very big late model fan. But Mason had this Street Stock Super Series at the time going on.
I don't know if that was a tour night, but go
It
on.
was.
I think it was.
I'll check on that, but continue.
Anyways, so Mason was kind enough to let me spend the night in Fargo on Friday after watching sprint cars up in Grand Forks. And I was like, you know what? The late models are fun to watch. I would like to go see them race at a bigger track. And Mason and John have praised up I-94 like no other. And everyone sits there and does the same thing. And I'm like, I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to go watch late models and the Street Stock Super Series. Anyways, the whole way there, watching the rain before we left, and it was raining when we left, and I go, well, Mason, wake me up if we have to turn around. So I pass out on the, and right before I pass out, I remember Mason saying,
Shocker, by the way.
I remember Mason saying, it's lightening up. I think we're gonna race. And I lifted my seat back up and took a quick look out both the windows. And I'm like, okay. Back in my mind, I'm thinking, Mason must be on some good drugs or something because there's standing water in the ditches right now. But okay, maybe he knows something I don't know. So I go back to sleep and we get to the track, and oddly enough, it hadn't rained. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, maybe we are going to race. Now, there was one indication that it probably wasn't looking good. There were a bunch of haulers sitting in the parking lot and not in the pits. So we pull in, and it turned into a game. It started to sprinkle a little bit, and then it turned into a game of do the trailers leave the track, or are the trailers coming into the track? And then it decided to pour on us, which then we decided to go back to Jamestown, and Mason almost made it rain there that night as well.
Okay.
So I will finish off the track pack report with my Sunday adventure down to Casino Speedway, as a lot of tracks actually had to cancel, unfortunately, with cold and rainy weather. Casino elected to start at 5 o'clock to get ahead of the weather, and it was a little chilly, which turned out to be a really good move because I believe rain moved in about 10 o'clock, and thankfully we were well done with the program by then. And so just a regular night of racing on tap. And so going through the winners, which kicked off with the street stocks, which was a very interesting and entertaining race. If you've seen any of the highlights, you'll understand why, because there's a lot of contact and some controversy. But in the end, Andy Rosso in the 99 machine comes out the victor as he found the high side halfway through the race. Jason Marco also found the high side, but kind of went down to the bottom and opened door for Andy to take the feature win. So congrats to Andy. He's had a really good weekend in that 99 machine. In your modifieds, it was a battle between Tony Conold in the 15 and the 10H of Nate Heinrich. Nate was following him on the high side. That was the preferred groove for the modifieds. And Nate threw a slider with about 7-8 laps to go, and then he cruised on to the feature win. It's been a while since he's been in victory lane, so congrats to the 10H. In the Gen X late models, Trevor Walsh set sail on the field and cruised to the feature win in that division. Your Midwest Modifieds was a great late race battle between Tommy Nichols and the 11S Darren Engesser. Engesser had checked out to lead, but then Tommy, from about a half straightaway back, had to slowly close in the gap and made the race winning pass coming out of four with just a couple of laps to go. So Tommy Nichols gets the feature win in the Midwest Modifieds. Your late models, your front row consisted of Tyler Peterson and Chad Becker.
Woo!
So, yeah,
That's really fair.
that's a
You
totally
should have
fair
heard
front
Mason
row.
crying about that the other day. This is not fair. They're not
Hey,
going to let anyone pass them.
it actually makes for a really entertaining race. Although Tyler, he mentioned on his Facebook that his car has not been up to snuff the last
Mm.
couple of weeks. So he hung with Chad for the first few laps, but then once Chad got to lap traffic, he was no match. TPO was no match for Chad. So Chad Becker gets the feature win in the 12 machine, capping off a great weekend for him as well. And your Risotto Hornets went to the 08 of Jeff Roner out of Wilmer, making a long trip over on a Sunday. And so that finished off racing action for this weekend. Another busy weekend for the Track Packers. And so we move on to what's upcoming next, starting in the state of North Dakota with Mr. Dakota Dirt.
Did you know, race fans, that you can check out Dakota Dirt? It is your one-stop shop for everything North Dakota racing news, results, recap schedules, and much more. Also, weather forecasts are on there, which is very beneficial this time of the year, especially when Mason is within your area. And then, race fans, if you need to, they are also on social media platforms at Dakota Dirt on Facebook. But again, the website is up. It is dakotadirt.org. Jessa,
Yeah,
this is also another thing I had broadcasted and promoted this weekend on
thanks,
DSTV.
John. We haven't done a single article again. It's tough being a dad and having to run a broadcast and have to watch out for Becca and to try to get time to make all the broadcasts. It's getting very tough, and I'm very tired.
Especially watching Becca, you know, especially
She
with
is
her.
tough.
Yes,
Yes. Thank you, John, for understanding the plight that I have.
it's difficult.
Anyways, this week for racing in our area, mainly North Dakota, as we are focused on Dakota Dirt racing. On the 12th, this Thursday, the Cheyenne Speedway will be racing. They have their full list of cars. So Wissota Streets, Midwest Mods, Gen X late models, NX Legends, hobbies, and their short trackers. On Friday, it's a busy day. Dakota Speedway will be racing. River Cities will be racing. McLean County, I believe it's night one of their county fair, so that'll
Mhm.
be a good time for them. And the Red River Valley will be racing. Red River is going to be meet and greet with the IMCA Sport Mods with fireworks and all those good fun stuff that goes with that. Dakota Speedway looks like a regular night. River Cities will be with the Wayne Anderson Cup, NOSA Sprinters, Wissota Street Stocks, Wissota Mid Mods, Wissota Late Models, and Wissota Modified. So, should be a fun night of racing. On Saturday, Mason, it's going to be another busy night as McLean County Speedway will be racing night two of their county fair races. Jamestown, on the other hand, will be racing as well, and it is Saturday Night Thunder and a theme night. John, what's the theme?
Retro.
Oh, you'll be. Can we get you in a pair of white pants?
Oh, I've got them.
He's
Should I wear them?
You
Are they
should.
bowling pants?
They are, but they are white dress pants.
you really question John whether he had white pants when he has like every freaking color pants known to mankind?
Well, I know he has got some egregious like costumes for
Designs.
bowling. I didn't know if
Oh
he
wow,
just had
John.
like simple white pants.
She's basically calling you a clown because you have a costume.
Yeah. Yes, she is. Here, Mason, I will send you a picture and you can insert it here of my bowling outfit on one of them.
Again, just add a wig to John's head and some like makeup.
No
What's
one
the
would
difference?
recognize him without his bald spot.
I will have my glowing personality come out though.
I'm sorry,
For
John.
Halloween, you should
It
go
was
as a
there. I
bowling
had to take
ball.
that
Just
opportunity.
add like the little like. Oh, never mind.
Just add the, oop, never mind.
Anyways, moving on to the rest of Saturday, Devil's Lake will be hosting the NLRA for their Golden Hammer 5,000 to win late model show. They will also have Wasota Midwest Mods, Streets, and Pure Stocks. That should be a good night for them. Hopefully, they get a good turnout. Then on Sunday, why not just drive up to Minot for the Father's Day special, where it looks to be pretty much a full field of cars, including IMCA Sport Compacts, Sport Mods, Hobby Stocks, Stock Cars, and Mods. And with that, that wraps up this week's racing action in the state of North Dakota.
A lot of good races taking place this weekend in North Dakota, and a lot of good races taking place outside the state of North Dakota. Starting off on Thursday the 12th, I believe, is this Masters Week over at Cedar Lake?
It is. Yes, it is.
So USMTS, and then is it World of Outlaw late models in conjunction with that?
No,
I always confuse the two. So it's just
World of
USMTS.
Outlaws is for Nationals, USA Nationals.
yep, we're
Thank
going to
you.
that.
Okay, so
Is that
first,
the first week in August?
Yep.
yep, yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's like August 2nd, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, somewhere in that range.
Yep.
So Cedar Lake's gonna have a busy weekend, 3 nights of racing over there. Norman County Raceway has the Center Sport Mod Challenge this Thursday. KRA Speedway is hosting the Dirt Race Central Street Stock Tour. Proctor Speedway has the Northern Storm, and Victory Lane Speedway has their season opener this week. So a little bit of later start than pretty much everyone else. So good to see that they're opening up. Friday the 13th, Brown County Speedway back in action. Fiesta City Speedway hosting the Dirt Race Central Street Stock Tour, and also running our Princeton Speedway and Red Cedar Speedway. On Saturday, we have Madison Speedway hosting the Dirt Race Central Street Stock Tour. Also racing are Miller Central, North Central, Ogilvie, Rice Lake, and Viking Speedway with Kids Night. And Sunday the 15th, Bemidji Speedway, I believe it's Women in Motorsports Night. Buffalo River Speedway also in action. Casino Speedway with their Father's Day special. Granite City Motor Park and Redwood Speedway to finish out the weekend. So a lot of good racing action tonight. Let us be the first to wish all the fathers out there happy Father's Day. So take your dad out to the racetrack, or hopefully see a lot of you dads in Victory Lane this weekend. And so with that, let's display the white flag and give a shout out to the B1 IMCA stock car, Brody Karlsrud out of Glyndon, Minnesota, who had a pretty solid weekend. I know he's a little bit disappointed with Thursday because he had a really fast hot rod, and looked to have that feature race in hand for a little bit, but he's looking really good in his new IMCA stock car. Be sure to check out his podcast, The Real Deal with B1, as he did upload an episode just recently, so check that out. And also stay up to date with his racing with Brody Karlsrud, B1 Racing on Facebook. Thank you, Brody, for your support on the podcast this season as well. Wins of the week. I'll do it one more time just to watch the ego grow just a little bit more. Pole sitter Jessup, what are your wins of the week?
After hearing that, I sit up a little bit taller, a little more prouder.
Jessup, I feel like your hairline is thinning out though a little bit more as the eagle gets bigger.
Yeah, it does. It does,
It's
but
becoming some gray over here. I mean, you might need some hair dye pretty soon.
well, it's called two-tone.
Ah,
Oh, you have highlights.
Yeah, yeah. You know when like there's a glare on the side of the car and it's just like the sun glare going down the side? That's basically what I got going on here. Oh.
I'm just right over
Anyways,
it.
let's see. Who should I take for my wins of the week? I could take, well, I'm going to start with the fun ones for me, and I'm going to
Okay.
start with the very obvious pick for that I would take, Travis Aarons, with his big win over the high limits down at with the 141 Speedway. And let me say this politely. I'm going to get on a soapbox here.
uh-oh.
And I know
Right.
you
As
hush up
Becca's
over
leaking.
there. We just heard you talk about your wardrobe for no apparent reason earlier.
I had a point.
That had nothing to do with the conversation.
It
But you
did.
had a point. Yes, you did. I agree. Very good, Becca. Anyways, Travis Aarons. How many of you know Travis's background? John and Mason, do you know what division
Oh,
he
sorry. I'm
started
working
in?
on a project. I know he's only raced a handful of times in a sprint car. Sorry, I was busy working on something extra special.
Do you know what division he started in?
Lee started in four cylinders, sport compacts.
Mhm.
Mm.
And then
Mason, you are correct.
guess what he did after a few seasons in that? He
Sport mod.
moved up
Hmm.
to the next division. So guess what division he went to?
Sport mods.
The B mods. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then after that, he went up another division. And then I think he went to 360 sprints.
Hmm.
And then he was successful there. And then he moved up again. And unlike this is how when I grew up, this was how you went through the ranks. You had to earn your way. It just wasn't, we're going to throw a bunch of money at it and little Johnny or little Junior is going to be racing a 410 sprint car in his first season ever. So I think there are a lot of people out there who can get behind Travis Aarons and this victory because he did it the right way, or what I would consider the right way.
Yeah, that was a really cool to see that win.
And he has people like Rodman saying this could be the biggest sprint car upset ever. Now, to piggyback onto that, I would also say this is win one and 1A because I like to throw in a bunch of the IRA racing series as a whole. Now, they didn't have a lot of guys come out and so race with the high limits, but at 141, if you look in the top five, they had three guys. You had Travis Aarons, Bill Baylog, and Scotty Thiel. And the IRA, for whatever reason, takes a lot of lumps for being like the working man series. And you always, like when I lived back further east and I would follow them pretty religiously, you would always hear the underlying tone of, well, they're not the good drivers. They're just the working people who can barely scrape a program together. And I think that race really showed that given the conditions on any given night, drivers from the IRA can compete. Because Scotty Thiel, IRA guy. Bill Baylog, king of the IRA. And then Travis Aarons. And then they had Joel Myers from California, who's following with the IRA. I think he finished ninth or 10th or somewhere in there, but he was in the top 10. So 40% of your field or top 10 was IRA guys. So that was pretty cool. Moving on to win number two, the Tri State Late Model Series. Now, I was caught off guard. Had I known there would be this many cars at either of these tracks, I probably would have went there instead if I had the choice. Racing down at Brown County for the opening night, after all the rainouts, they had 52 late models. I don't know why they got 52. I really don't understand it, but that's amazing. The second night, I think it was over in Huron, right? Dakota State Fairgrounds.
Yep.
Yes, it was. Yep.
42. And that's amazing. And I don't know what the real difference between the Tri State guys and what the Wissota guys are, but the Wissota guys did very well. as well. So, uh, the Tri-State Series gets my number 2 win of the week. And I'm just going to say win number 3 of the week goes to Jamestown for surviving a what should have been guaranteed rainout and ended up having an amazing night of racing and racing action, much to the chagrin of some people and some of the haters out there. So, with that being said, those are my 3 wins, and I'll pass it off to whomever would like to go next.
Great
John,
wins,
look,
Jessup.
John, don't move too much. If you kind of look like Megamind there.
We're so terrible tonight.
You dare
John,
defy Megamind?
John, what are your wins of the week?
Okay, so I have 3 wins of the week as well. So my first win of the week is going over to Gage Madler for picking up the tour win for the Legendary Tour. Overall points champion was Gage Madler this year. Unfortunately, they only got 4 out of the 6 nights in, but still a good tour for the Index Legend drivers throughout the state of North Dakota. My second win of the week is going over to Diesel Rayner. Diesel was your IMCA Hobby Stock champion as part of the Tougher Than Dirt Tour. So congratulations to Diesel on picking up the Hobby Stock Championship, as that division was pretty competitive this year throughout the whole entire tour. There was a lot of new winners and a lot of shake and bake throughout the field each and every night. The third win of the week goes over to Jonathan Davenport for stomping the field over in the Dream at Eldora. And he got to win in the track that he enjoys as much as visiting his in-laws.
Very well said. Awesome set of wins there, John. Becca, who are your wins of the week? Or what are your wins of the week?
I had a fun one, but John kind of stole the thunder from it, so whatever. I will pick some other ones. I
Was it the
was
Davenport one?
no, it was not. I was gonna mention something about like a Canadian surge because
Oh,
all of the
yes.
tra champions from the Tougher Than Dirt
We're
Tour were
Canadians.
Canadian drivers. So
Yep.
I
You
was
could
gonna
still mention that because I didn't mention anything about sport mods.
I'll just gloss over that. Okay, so my first one of the week will go to Kyle Anderson for picking up a thrilling first WISSOTA Midwest Modified victory over at the Jamestown Speedway last Saturday at the Don Gumke Racers Memorial. My second win of the week is going to go to Rylan Vetter. He was the Young Lion champion on the Legendary Tour, and I think he's just come a long way, just leaps and bounds from when he first started in the Legends. He's been really just improving each time he goes out on the track, and it was fun to watch him on the Legendary Tour, and he was named your Young Lion champion for the Legendary Tour. And then I'm gonna go with, let's see, going down my list. Let's go with Quentin Kinsley. He was your IMCA modified Don Gumke Racers Memorial champion over the Jamestown Speedway, but he also just overall had a great weekend. He finished top 5 over at the Dakota Speedway on Friday night, but then went over to Jamestown and again, just a fun race to watch from start to finish. But it was fun to watch him up on the high side. Um, he him and John battling during in with lap traffic. It was the lap traffic really held him up. So it was fun to watch him try to negotiate around that and through that. And then obviously he came up on top. So it was fun to watch him just rip the lip and just fly on the high side. And yeah, overall, just a great race over at the Jamestown Speedway for Quentin Kinsley.
Excellent set of wins there.
And
I'll
also,
finish.
guys,
Okay.
Quentin's kind of got the big money show thing down a little bit too, because he picked up that big win over at Motor Magic on the championship night last year over in Minot, and I believe that was a $3,000 paycheck, if I'm not mistaken, that night.
Hmm.
He upset the fans too.
Yes, yes, he did.
Yes.
Mason, what are your wins of the week?
So I am having a tough time picking my third win of the week, but I'm going to just say Thomas Worth in the 55 Soda Street Stock getting his first feature win down at Princeton last Friday. Congratulations, Thomas Worth, on getting that win. My second win of the week is going to go to John Nord for picking up the Bison Battle win this Friday at Red River Valley Speedway, $2,000 win. And that is his first IMCA modified feature win at Red River Valley Speedway. They noted on their Facebook page now he's won in 3 different divisions, including the modifieds, super stocks, and street stocks. So congratulations to the 98 of John Nord. And my third win of the week is going to go to Jeff Ekdahl in the 11 Junior Street Stock. He rolled his car in the heat race on Friday at Fergus Falls. He, along with his crew and several other competitors, got that car back together. They got it back out for the B main. He won the B main, and he moved from 21st to 5th for the hard charger on Friday night. So, great job, Jeff. Great job to everyone that helped him get back out on the track and get him a great, solid finish on Friday night on the Dirt Race Central Street Stock Tour. And so, those are my wins of the week. Any closing thoughts or any initial plans for this weekend?
Well, John alluded to it a little bit earlier in the show, but registration is open for the Dakota Classic Modified Tour. So, stock car drivers, modified drivers, this is a great opportunity to really see what you're made of, um, how you stack up against drivers both locally and nationally. And it's a great way to just find new, whether it's setups, try new things. Sometimes it can really make you faster for the second half of the season. So go on tour. It's a great opportunity to just learn new things, try new things, and see what you're made of. And yeah, so if you're an IMCA modified driver, IMCA stock car driver, sign up for the Dakota Classic Modified Tour. 6 fun days of racing, all in right here in our backyard. So do that.
Excellent.
It's always a fun time.
Yes. Just about a month, under a month away. That's coming up quick.
That is
Any
July
other
5th.
closing thoughts?
I'm just hoping for good weather for the weekend so we can go racing. Mason's going to be deep in the heart of Minnesota, so maybe North Dakota tracks might be okay.
And yeah,
Weather
I'm
is
hoping for.
supposed to switch by Thursday, so
I saw that.
I,
Mason's been hanging around too long. It's time for him
I,
to go to terrorize Minnesota.
Is Kayla going with you?
I believe for at least 2 of the nights, I believe.
Oh, those
Okay, well
guys are
then
screwed.
I was gonna say then hopefully it'll just, leave us.
Here comes the rain, shoopa-doo-boo. Here
Hoping for
comes
good
the
weather.
rain, and I'd say it's Mason's fault. Do 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 do.
We'll see what the weekend has for us. But that'll do it for episode 13 of the Track Packers podcast for season 4. As always, be sure to like, share, and comment. We always love to know who's watching. Be sure to let us know. Thank you to our sponsors, Hitch Harness, The Real Deal with B1 Brody Carlsrud, and Isaac Hot Sauce Sandro. Another great weekend of racing with several big events, and we hope to see you out there packing the track.